Dr. Zara Khouri's fingers danced across the holographic interface, adjusting parameters and recalculating trajectories for what felt like the 1,000th time. The soft blue glow of the display illuminated her face, casting deep shadows that accentuated the worry lines that had become increasingly prominent over the past few months. "Come on," she muttered, more to herself than to the advanced AI assisting her calculations. "There has to be a mistake. This can't be right." But no matter how many times she ran the numbers, the result remained the same. The rogue planet, a massive celestial body nearly twice the size of Jupiter, was on a collision course with Earth's orbit, and the consequences would be catastrophic. A hand on her shoulder startled her from her focused trance. Dr. Elias Chen, her longtime colleague and friend, stood behind her, his face a mirror of her own concern. "Zara, you need to take a break," he said gently. "You've been at this for 18 hours straight." She shook her head, turning back to the display. "I can't, Elias. Not until I find a way to prove these calculations wrong. If they're right. If they're right, working yourself to exhaustion won't change anything," Elias countered. "Come on, let's get some coffee. Fresh eyes might see something we've missed." Reluctantly, Zara allowed herself to be led away from her workstation. As they walked through the corridors of the Global Astronomical Defense Center, GADC, she couldn't help but notice the tension that seemed to permeate the air. News of the approaching celestial body had spread through the scientific community like wildfire, and everyone was on edge. The GADC itself was a testament to humanity's progress and its lingering fears. Built in 2095 as part of Earth's unified defense strategy, it combined the most advanced astronomical observation equipment with powerful predictive algorithms and, if needed, planetary defense systems. It was supposed to be humanity's shield against cosmic threats. But now, facing this unprecedented danger, Zara feared it might not be enough. In the facility's cafeteria, Zara and Elias found a quiet corner to talk. The room was unusually empty. Most of the staff were too engrossed in their work to take proper breaks. "All right," Elias said, sliding a steaming cup of synthesized coffee across the table to Zara. "Talk me through it again. What exactly are we looking at?" Zara took a sip of the coffee, grimacing at the artificial taste. Some things, it seemed, technology still couldn't perfect. The rogue planet entered the outer solar system about 6 months ago. At first, we were excited. A chance to study an extrasolar planetary body up close. But, as we gathered more data... She paused, pulling up a holographic projection from her wrist computer. A miniature version of the solar system appeared above the table, with a large red dot representing the intruder. "Its trajectory will bring it perilously close to Earth," she continued. "The gravitational effects alone will be catastrophic. Massive tidal forces, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. And that's just the beginning. The long-term changes to our orbit could render the planet uninhabitable within a matter of years." Elias studied the projection, his brow furrowed. "What about planetary defense? The gravity tractors, the fusion deflectors?" Zara shook her head. "We've run the simulations. Nothing in our current arsenal is powerful enough to significantly alter the course of something that massive. We'd need years, maybe decades, to build something capable of averting this. And we have 18 months, Elias finished grimly, until it reaches perihelion and comes closest to Earth." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the situation hanging heavy between them. Finally, Elias spoke again, his voice low and determined. "We need to call an emergency session of the World Council. They need to know what we're facing." Zara nodded, her mind already racing with the implications. "How do you tell the leaders of the world that they might be presiding over the end of human civilization?" As they made their way back to the main control room to begin preparations for the briefing, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Red emergency lights bathed the corridors in an ominous glow. "What now?" Zara muttered, breaking into a run with Elias close behind. They burst into the control room to find it in chaos. Technicians and scientists rushed between workstations, shouting updates and instructions. At the center of it all stood Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the head of the GADC's Deep Space Monitoring Division. "Yuki!" Zara called out as she approached. "What's happening?" The younger woman turned, her face pale with shock. "It's the rogue planet. It's changing course." "What? That's impossible," Elias interjected. "The gravitational interactions are fixed. Unless it's not just a planet," Zara breathed, the impossible thought forming in her mind. Yuki nodded, pulling up a new set of readings on the main display. Its velocity is fluctuating in ways that defy all known laws of celestial mechanics, and we're picking up energy readings unlike anything we've ever seen. As the implications of this new development sank in, Zara felt a chill run down her spine. Whatever was approaching Earth, it was becoming clearer by the moment that they were dealing with something far beyond their understanding. "All right," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos of the room. "I want all data from the last 6 hours analyzed and cross-referenced. Yuki, get me updated trajectory projections based on these new movements. Elias, we need to fast-track that World Council briefing. Whatever this thing is, we need to be prepared for anything." As the team sprang into action around her, Zara turned back to the main display, watching the ominous red dot that represented the approaching threat. In all her years of studying the cosmos, she had dreamed of making a discovery that would change humanity's understanding of the universe. But not like this. Never like this. Little did she know, the true nature of what was approaching Earth would shake the very foundations of human civilization. And the clock was ticking. The next year passed in a blur of frenetic activity, sleepless nights, and mounting dread. As news of the approaching celestial body spread, society teetered on the brink of collapse. Panic buying, mass migrations away from coastal areas, and outbreaks of violence became commonplace. It took all the resources of Earth's unified government to maintain even a semblance of order. Zara found herself at the center of humanity's efforts to survive. The World Council had opted for a multi-pronged approach, pursuing all 3 options she had presented in that fateful briefing: evacuation to off-world colonies, attempts to alter the rogue planet's trajectory, and the construction of vast underground shelters. But as the celestial intruder drew nearer, it became clear that their efforts might be too little, too late. The first major effects began to be felt 6 months before the projected point of closest approach. Zara stood in the GADC's Situation Room, watching as red alert indicators bloomed across the holographic globe like a virulent rash. New York, Shanghai, Lagos, Mumbai, one by one, the great coastal metropolises of the world were being evacuated or lost entirely to the sea. "Dr. Kuri," a voice called from across the room. It was Dr. Yuki Tanaka, dark circles under her eyes, testament to the long hours everyone had been working. "You need to see this." Yuki pulled up a new holographic display, showing a barrage of data streaming in from their deep space monitoring stations. Zara's eyes widened as she processed what she was seeing. "This can't be right," she muttered, her fingers flying over the controls as she double-checked the calculations. "The object's trajectory, it's changing again." Elias joined them, his face pale as he looked over the data. "It's like it's correcting course, but that's impossible. Unless what?" Zara demanded, a chill running down her spine. Elias shook his head as if trying to dislodge an absurd thought. "Nothing. It must be a gravitational interaction we didn't account for. Maybe with one of the outer planets." But Zara could see the doubt in his eyes, mirroring her own growing suspicion that there was more to this rogue planet than they understood. However, before she could pursue that line of thought, another crisis demanded her attention. Alarms blared as a massive earthquake rocked the western coast of South America. The seismographs were off the charts, a quake measuring 10.5 on the Richter scale, far beyond anything ever recorded in human history. "My God," Elias breathed, watching the disaster unfold on the monitors. "The death toll." Zara steeled herself, pushing aside her horror to focus on the task at hand. "Yuki, coordinate with the emergency response teams. I want every available rescue bot deployed to the affected areas. Elias, we need to update the World Council. This is happening faster than we predicted." As her colleagues sprang into action, Zara found herself drawn back to the deep space telemetry. Something about the object's movements nagged at her. It was almost as if her thoughts were interrupted by a commotion at the entrance to the Situation Room. A group of people in military uniforms were entering. Led by a stern-faced woman, Zara recognized as General Diana Voss, the head of Earth's Unified Defense Forces. "Dr. Curie," the general said, her voice clipped and professional. "A word, please." Zara followed the general to a quiet corner of the room, apprehension building in her gut. "What can I do for you, General?" Voss's eyes darted around, ensuring they weren't overheard. "Doctor, I need to know. In your professional opinion, what are the chances that this object is not a natural phenomenon?" The question caught Zara off guard. She had been harboring her own suspicions, but to hear them voiced by someone in Voss's position. "You think it might be artificial? An alien craft of some kind?" The general's expression remained impassive. "I'm not paid to think, Doctor. I'm paid to prepare for every contingency. So I'll ask again, what are the chances?" Zara took a deep breath, weighing her words carefully. "Based on its observed behavior, particularly these recent course corrections, I'd say the probability is higher than I'm comfortable admitting. But General, if it is artificial, if we are dealing with an alien intelligence capable of constructing something on that scale, then we're hopelessly outmatched," Voss finished grimly. "I know, but we can't just sit back and wait for whatever it is to reach us. We need options." As they discussed potential strategies, most of which felt futile in the face of such an overwhelming force, Zara couldn't shake a growing sense of dread. If this truly was a first contact scenario, it was unfolding in the worst possible way. Over the next several weeks, it was all they could do to coordinate rescue efforts and manage the ongoing evacuations. The Gravity Tractor project, which had been humanity's best hope of averting disaster, was abandoned as resources were diverted to immediate survival needs. As the rogue planet drew ever closer, its effects on Earth became more pronounced. The planet's axis began to shift, causing radical and unpredictable changes in climate. Hurricanes of unprecedented size and power formed over oceans heated by changing currents. Volcanoes long thought dormant roared back to life, choking the skies with ash. Through it all, Zara and her team worked tirelessly, coordinating with what remained of the world's governments to save as many lives as possible. The off-world colonies were packed beyond capacity, and the underground shelters were sealed one by one as they filled with refugees. But it wasn't enough. As the day of closest approach loomed, it became clear that billions would be left exposed to the full fury of a world torn apart by cosmic forces. The night before the rogue planet was set to make its closest pass, Zara found herself alone in the observatory atop the GADC. She gazed up at the night sky, where the intruder now hung like a baleful eye, visible even to the naked eye and dominating the heavens. "What are you?" she whispered, a question meant for the uncaring cosmos. "What have we done to deserve this?" As if in answer, her comm unit chirped. It was Elias, his voice tight with a mixture of fear and excitement. "Zara, you need to get down here now. There's something you need to see." Zara's heart raced as she hurried back to the Situation Room. Whatever Elias had found, she knew it would change everything, but nothing could have prepared her for the truth that awaited her. A truth that would redefine humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Zara burst into the Situation Room, her eyes immediately drawn to the main holographic display. The rogue planet loomed larger than ever, its swirling gases a maelstrom of alien colors. "What is it, Elias? What did you find?" she demanded, still catching her breath from her sprint down from the observatory. Elias's face was pale, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. "Watch," he said simply, manipulating the controls of the holo display. The image zoomed in on a section of the planet's turbulent atmosphere. At first, Zara couldn't see anything unusual. But then, "Wait," she breathed, leaning in closer. "What's that?" A patch of the swirling gases seemed to be thinning. As they watched, transfixed, the gases parted like a curtain being drawn back. And there, emerging from the roiling clouds, was something that made Zara's breath catch in her throat. "Is that?" She couldn't even finish the question, her mind refusing to accept what her eyes were seeing. Elias nodded, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's a structure, artificial, and it's not the only one." He adjusted the display again, and the view pulled back. Across the surface of the massive celestial body, more anomalies were appearing. Vast complexes of geometric shapes, glowing with internal light, interconnected by what could only be described as roads or transit systems. For a moment, the room was dead silent, everyone struggling to process what they were seeing. Then, all at once, alarms began blaring. New data poured in from every sensor they had trained on the approaching body, readings that defied everything they thought they knew about planetary physics. And that's when it hit her. The realization crashed over Zara like a tidal wave, leaving her gasping. "What the hell?" she shouted, her usual composure shattered by the enormity of the discovery. "Oh my God, it's not a planet, it's a spaceship." The words hung in the air, electrifying the room. Chaos erupted as scientists and officials alike tried to grapple with this paradigm-shifting revelation. General Voss, who had been silently observing from a corner of the room, stepped forward. "I need confirmation, people. Are we absolutely certain about this?" Yuki, her fingers flying over her console, nodded emphatically. "The readings are unmistakable, General. We're detecting energy signatures, material compositions. None of it matches any known natural phenomenon. This is technology advanced beyond anything we've ever encountered." As the implications of this discovery began to sink in, the room erupted into a frenzy of activity. Some were frantically trying to establish communication with the alien vessel, while others were calling for immediate defensive measures. Zara stood in the eye of this storm, her mind racing. All the anomalies they had observed over the past year suddenly made sense. The course corrections, the improbable trajectory, the energy readings they couldn't explain. It had all been leading to this moment. Suddenly, cutting across all communication channels, came a signal. A voice, utterly alien yet somehow comprehensible, echoed through the GADC and, they would soon learn, every receiver on Earth. "People of Earth," the voice intoned, its timbre unlike anything produced by human vocal cords. "We apologize for the disruption and destruction our approach has caused. It was not our intention to harm your world. We are the Nisva, travelers from a distant galaxy. Our world is our ship. Our ship is our world, and we have been journeying between the stars for millennia in search of a new home." The room fell silent, everyone transfixed by the alien voice echoing through the facility. Zara felt a chill run down her spine as the implications of this communication sank in. They weren't just facing a natural disaster, they were in the midst of humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. The voice continued, its tone carrying a strange mix of regret and hope. "We detected your world and its suitability for life forms similar to our own. Our initial scans did not reveal the presence of a technological civilization. By the time we became aware of your existence, we were too close to alter our course without causing even greater damage to your planet. We have done what we could to minimize the impact, but we recognize that the harm has been substantial." General Voss's face hardened. "Minimize the impact," she muttered incredulously. "Billions are dead or displaced. Entire continents are in ruins." But before anyone could respond, the alien message pressed on. "We offer our deepest apologies and our assistance in repairing the damage we have caused. More importantly, we offer an exchange of knowledge and culture. You are not alone in the cosmos, and it is our hope that this unfortunate first meeting can be the beginning of a profound and mutually beneficial relationship between our peoples." As the transmission ended, the room erupted into a cacophony of voices. Scientists argued over the implications of the aliens' technology. Military personnel debated potential threats, and government officials frantically tried to formulate a response. Zara turned to Elias, her mind reeling. "Can you believe this? All this time we thought we were facing extinction, and instead, we're on the brink of a new era for humanity," Elias finished, his eyes wide with wonder. "But Zara, think about it. The technology required to construct a ship of that size, to traverse intergalactic distances, they're so far beyond us. How can we possibly hope to interact with them on equal terms?" Before Zara could respond, General Voss approached, her face a mask of controlled tension. "Dr. Curie, Dr. Chen, I need your assessment. What are we dealing with here? And more importantly, what's our next move?" Zara took a deep breath, trying to organize her thoughts. "General, we're dealing with a civilization capable of engineering on a planetary scale. Their technology is so advanced it might as well be magic to us. As for our next move..." She paused, weighing her words carefully. "I believe we need to respond to their communication. Open a dialogue. They've offered assistance, and given the state of our world, we're in no position to refuse." Voss nodded grimly. "And if this is some kind of trick, a prelude to invasion?" "With respect, General," Elias interjected, "if they wanted to conquer us, they could have done so without all this. Their very approach nearly destroyed our civilization. I think we have to take their offer at face value, at least for now." The general was silent for a moment, then nodded. "All right. I'll convey your recommendations to the World Council. In the meantime, I want every scrap of data we have on this ship analyzed. If they're going to help us, we need to understand what they're capable of." As Voss strode away, barking orders into her comm unit, Zara turned back to the main display. The enormous alien vessel now dominated the sky, its true nature revealed as the gaseous outer layer continued to dissipate. "It's beautiful," she murmured, taking in the intricate patterns of light and structure that covered its surface. Elias nodded in agreement. "It's like looking at the entire civilization condensed into a single object. Imagine the stories it could tell, the places it's seen." Their moment of awe was interrupted by Yuki, who rushed over with a tablet in hand. "You need to see this," she said urgently. "We're detecting massive energy fluctuations from the ship. I think they're doing something." As they watched, enormous energy fields began to emanate from the alien vessel, enveloping the Earth in a shimmering cocoon of light. Panic began to spread through the control room, but Zara felt a sudden, inexplicable sense of calm. "They're stabilizing us," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "Look, the tectonic activity is subsiding. Ocean levels are normalizing. They're fixing what they've broken." Data poured in from around the globe, confirming Zara's assessment. The catastrophic geological and meteorological effects that had been ravaging the planet for months were rapidly subsiding. It was as if the laws of physics themselves were being rewritten by the alien technology. "This is incredible," Elias breathed, poring over the incoming data. "They're not just reversing the damage they caused, they're improving things. Toxins are being stripped from the atmosphere, radiation levels are dropping in contaminated areas. It's like they're terraforming Earth back to an ideal state." As the implications of this miraculous intervention sank in, a new message came through from the alien ship. "People of Earth," the now familiar voice intoned, "we have begun the process of restoring your world. This is but the first step in making amends for the unintended harm we have caused. We stand ready to offer further assistance and to begin a dialogue with your leaders." The control room fell silent as the enormity of the situation truly hit home. Humanity had been brought to the brink of extinction, only to be offered a chance at a future beyond their wildest dreams. Zara looked around at her colleagues, seeing her own mix of fear, awe, and hope reflected in their eyes. "Well," she said, a shaky smile forming on her lips, "I guess we'd better prepare for some guests." Elias laughed, the sound tinged with hysteria but also genuine joy. "I'll break out Earth's finest. Do you think they drink champagne on a planet-sized spaceship?" As the room erupted into a flurry of activity, calls to world leaders, preparations for humanity's first official extraterrestrial diplomacy, efforts to communicate the stunning truth to a population teetering on the brink, Zara took a moment to gaze out the window at the now stabilizing world. The alien world ship hung in the sky, no longer a harbinger of doom, but a symbol of a vast and wondrous universe waiting to be explored. Humanity had been brought to the brink of extinction, only to be offered a chance at a future beyond their wildest dreams. In the days and weeks that followed, the world underwent a transformation more profound than any in human history. As the Nisfa made good on their promise to repair the damage they had caused, they also began sharing glimpses of their advanced technology and vast knowledge of the cosmos. The first face-to-face meetings between human representatives and the alien visitors were broadcast globally, captivating billions. The Nisfa, it turned out, were a species as diverse and complex as humanity itself, with a rich culture and history spanning millions of years. Zara found herself at the forefront of these interactions, her role as an astrophysicist making her uniquely suited to bridge the gap between human and alien scientific understanding. Each day brought new wonders and challenges as she and her colleagues grappled with concepts that redefined their understanding of physics, biology, and the very nature of consciousness. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. As humanity began to recover from the brink of apocalypse, questions and concerns arose. How would this new relationship with a vastly superior alien civilization change human society? What place would Earth have in a suddenly much larger and more complex cosmic community? Political and religious leaders grappled with the implications of this new reality. Some embraced the opportunity for growth and learning, while others feared the loss of human autonomy and identity. Conspiracy theories ran rampant, with some claiming the entire event had been staged or that the aliens had nefarious ulterior motives. Through it all, Zara remained committed to her role as a bridge between worlds. She knew that the path ahead would be challenging, filled with unknowns and potential pitfalls. But she also knew that humanity had been given an unprecedented opportunity, a chance to take its place among the stars not as conquerors or colonists, but as part of a larger community of sentient beings. One evening, months after the Nisfa's arrival, Zara stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Earth-Nisfa Cultural Exchange Center. The massive alien world ship still dominated the sky, but now it was a familiar sight, a promise of adventures to come rather than a threat. Elias joined her, handing her a cup of real, non-synthesized coffee, one of the many small luxuries that had become available again as Earth's ecosystems recovered. "Penny for your thoughts?" he asked, following her gaze to the stars. Zara smiled, taking a sip of her coffee. "I was just thinking about how close we came to the end. If the Nisfa had been hostile or even just indifferent." Elias nodded soberly. "We got lucky. Incredibly, unbelievably lucky." "But it's more than luck," Zara continued, her voice taking on a note of determination. "We've been given a second chance, an opportunity to become something greater than we ever imagined. We can't waste it." "We won't," Elias assured her, "not with people like you leading the way." As they stood there, contemplating the vast and wondrous universe that had suddenly opened up to them, Zara felt a surge of excitement for the future. The end of the world had become a new beginning, and the stars themselves were now the limit. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever wonders and dangers the cosmos held, humanity would face them with new allies, new knowledge, and a newfound appreciation for their place in the grand tapestry of existence. The rogue planet that had nearly destroyed them was, in the end, the key to their salvation. And as Earth took its first tentative steps into a larger galactic community, Zara knew that the real journey was only just beginning.